So this summer, you guys might remember that I made a video talking about the have-a-seat man himself, Chris Hansen, and his shenanigans, we'll call them, in the YouTube sphere. It all kind of became super noticeable when Gus Johnson and Eddie Burback made a video talking about some of the problems with his content. You know, they were uploading things in like 480p, the audio quality was bad, the visuals were bad. They were uploading Family Guy skits that had stuff to do with To Catch a Predator and even just some other stuff, and there was really no cohesion, and the channel just wasn't doing well. This all kind of blew up when it looked like they were blocked from commenting on Chris's channel, even though whoever's behind his team, who we will find in a second, made those changes. So they tried to say, hey, good job, you made the changes, found that they weren't allowed commenting, and it turned into a whole thing where, you know, boys were not being boys.
Chris!
Boys support boys, Chris.
Boys support boys, Chris.
But this would just kind of be the first thing that happened, because eventually Chris realized that his legacy was alive and well in YouTube with the entire TCAP community, where people who would either make commentary videos surrounding various To Catch a Predator episodes. You know, a lot of it was super transformative in nature, some of it not so much, but for the most part, it was keeping the legacy of To Catch a Predator alive, which you figured he would enjoy and use to his benefit to actually work with this community that has loved him years after the show was pulled off of NBC. But instead of trying to ingrain himself in this community that loved him so, he decided he was just gonna shit on every other YouTuber that made any kind of content around To Catch a Predator so he could be the sole To Catch a Predator channel on YouTube. So this wasn't even just claiming monetization from videos where he felt he had ownership, even though in my mind, I would assume NBC had ownership, but whatever. This actually went as far and extended into false flagging videos, video takedowns, and entire channel takedowns. People were actually losing their entire channels in this, but thankfully we had someone like Mr. Gigi, who was kind of too big to be hounded in this way, that was able to come in and kind of be the voice of reason. Obviously, the entire community pushed back and the channels were all reinstated. Now, Chris never actually issued any kind of apology about this. It was just kind of silently dealt with, and he realized that by engaging more with the YouTube side of things, he could probably grow his channel. So rather than focusing on some of the stuff they used to do, he started going after Onision, which obviously started growing his channel more, and all of this stuff was kind of forgotten until recently. Enter Vincent Nicotra. Now, Vincent Nicotra was somebody who was mentioned in the old videos this summer by a lot of people as being his business partner, someone behind the scenes who probably had a lot to do with these false flags and various issues that were being dealt with in the community. Vince kind of had an idea of what kind of ownership they were supposed to have over the content and was a little bit aggressive in trying to maintain it. Vince also has the side effect of not wanting to stay behind the scenes, which is why most of this video is being made, because the dude got a little bit of taste of the spotlight and immediately started scrabbling for any amount of anything he could get from it. So let's get into it a little bit more. I'm late to this story because I was waiting to see if Chris Hansen would further address it after a couple tweets he made recently. We'll get to that soon, but through no surprise, he didn't. He didn't respond. I've been sitting on this for a few days just waiting to see if he was going to do anything. And then we kind of got to today where he just ended up showing up at Onision's house. Again, I'm not trying to say that they should not be looking into Onision. I'm not saying any of this stuff to try to derail that investigation, which allegedly currently has FBI involvement. But having someone like Vince involved in this is going to hurt the investigation, and I'm just going to go over some of the stuff that he has done in the last few days, actually in the last couple weeks. So honestly, I had assumed they had learned their lesson after the summer that kind of going after the community was really just not a good idea, and maybe they should just take any kind of criticism they get or roll with it and realize it's better to work with the community than against the community. And once the Onision stuff started taking off, I figured that they probably thought they were in a pretty good place not to concern themselves with some of these other YouTubers. So imagine my surprise when over the holiday season, Vincent started it all up again. Channel takedowns, doxing information, both with pictures and names, random threats, racist comments, and a slew of other things all just started tumbling out over the holiday season. This time it was all due to a video made by Westmos and Baked Salmon. So Baked Salmon, I definitely mentioned in my last video as one of the channels who was taken down. And unfortunately, his YouTube channel was taken down yet again. He has a new channel that if I remember, I'll have a link down below. Someone remind me if I don't. But they made a video calling Vince out about lying about a website he was allegedly developing. So Vince has kind of been talking about a couple websites. One was like Pro Streams, which has been advertised through the Chris Hansen channel. And they'd been trying to get a bunch of people to upload their content there separately, promising a bunch of stuff they probably couldn't. And then again, the main thing was that Vincent was claiming that he developed this website. The other one was actually one where people would have to pay him money to build their own websites. It was supposed to be a intuitive, easy to use website builder a la Wix or, everything else that's out there. So he basically said he'd been developing this for a super long time, but Westmost ended up figuring out that it was actually just a $37 template that's no longer supported by the creators. But he was actually going to charge people significant amounts of money to use this website builder that he literally just purchased for $37 and had no idea how to use. So that was released on New Year's Eve, and that video got taken down, and then Wes immediately started getting attacked by Vince. I'll have some videos by Wes down below where you can get a little bit more context as to why Vince had Wes's contact information so easily, but it was in a lot of these conversations that Wes actually has proof of where he was threatened with being doxxed, ultimately doxxed, his employment was threatened. At one point, Vince actually told him that the FBI was going to investigate him for claims that he made. And at one point, he actually implied that Wes was a pedophile, and that was another reason why they were going to get the FBI involved. So if you want a little bit more context than that, than what this video ultimately ends up giving, I'll have his videos linked down below. But honestly, if Vince had just left that video alone, there's a really good chance that not that many people would have seen it, not that many people would have cared, and they could have just gone on with business as usual, but Vince can't help himself. He instantly wanted to try to leverage the minimal amount of success he'd been having with Chris Hansen and try to turn that into other revenue streams, which is completely normal. It's why people make merch. It's why people try to market various parts of themselves. Like, I have no problem with that. It's why people do sponsorship deals. I don't have a problem with that specifically, but I do have a problem with you manipulating your fans, trying to claim that you created something that it's so easy to see that you just bought for like $37, and you're going to be charging, twice as much as that for people to use. But at this point, there was a bunch of backlash that happened. Vince had already gotten in trouble because he had made like a short bus joke about Onision, and people were like, why are you bringing disabled people into this to make fun of Onision? There was multiple times where he claimed that his Twitter got hacked. At one point, he tried to say that the reason why he was going to dox Westmost and Yap Yap again, who I mentioned in the last video, was because they were the ones that potentially allegedly hacked him, and that it was whoever hacked them was the one who ended up saying all of the horrible racist things and did the doxing. Like, there was a lot of stuff here that just made no sense, and it kind of just went in a weird circle. People tried to get clarification from Vince on this, and he just talked it around in a circle, tried BSing his way out of it, and most people didn't believe it. Now, one of the best parts about this is that two of the tweets, one that is confirmed by Vince, one that Vince is claiming was by a hacker, they use the same term of poked the bear. I'll be honest, in this one it's spelt wrong because dude was clearly drunk on New Year's Eve just going on a power trip. But as my friend Gigi would say,
how stupid do you have to be to use the same exact expression in the tweet that was sent out by an alleged hacker and a tweet that was sent out by you?
Yeah, man, why would you use the same turn of phrase that the hacker used? Maybe it's because it was you. It was you the whole time. You didn't get hacked. You can't prove that you were hacked, and you just try to jump on being hacked anytime you do something that the community doesn't respond in a way you expect them to. And this wasn't even the first time that he did this with the doxing, and honestly, all he got from doxing people's information last time was a promotion to being able to appear on screen, eating popcorn while victims tell their stories. Like, I just don't understand how a grown man thinks reacting this way is going to help him in any way, shape, or form. Like, you literally watched this blow up in your face like 4 or 5 months ago, so you think doing it again is a good idea. Again, what kind of mental gymnastics do you have to do that when someone criticizes you, you have to try to imply that they're a pedophile because that's the only reason why they would want to criticize you because of all the amazing work you're doing around this Onision investigation? No, that does not absolve you from anything. Now, while he's running around implying that people criticizing him are pedos, he and Chris are actually doing interviews with someone who is currently being charged and looked into for multiple instances of sexual assault. While those may just be allegations and he could be found to be innocent, it's probably not a good idea to align yourself with someone like that when your investigation revolves around predators. Now, at this point, you've got to assume that Chris would have had to have let Vince go. There's no denying that he's doxed people's personal information. He's ultimately going to be the downfall to any investigation they try to do going forward. He could actually completely stifle their revenue stream because if they issue enough false strikes on these channels, it can affect their current channel. But no, so far, we're a week past any kind of acknowledgement that any of this happened, and Chris has not done anything. So Vince, there's allegedly an apology here from Vince that you can see on Chris's Twitter that says, Vincent Nicotra has asked me to share this with you. I would like to sincerely apologize for letting my ego, anger, and short-sightedness interfere with my judgment recently. I take full responsibility for my actions, and I am deeply regretful for hurting and offending you all. To the victims of predatory behavior, you are my absolute priority. I wholeheartedly regret that my actions caused any unnecessary distractions and a sideshow. I will never let that happen again. I don't believe believe you. Yeah, I don't believe you because your own ego can't get in the way. And if you were actually sorry for the things that you did, these people's channels and videos would be reinstated. You would have issued direct apologies to people, but I'm pretty sure the more you apologize for certain things, the more you're legally opening yourself up because some of the stuff you did is just like 0% okay. Actually, everything you did is 0% okay. And then Chris would go on to say, I am reviewing Vincent Nicotra's recent actions as they relate to Have a Seat with Chris Hansen and Hansen versus Predators, and I'm considering the next steps. Like I said, that was 7 days ago. 7 days ago, and we have gotten nothing in regards to this particular situation. I don't think he's going to do anything. If anything, you just might not see Vince in some videos for a little bit, and then he'll slowly work his way back in because Vincent clearly likes the spotlight. He clearly likes being on camera, even if he's not actively doing anything or contributing to anything, and all he does is bring down these investigations. Again, I'm not trying to derail what they're doing currently, and if they actually manage to get results in the Onision situation, that's amazing. But having someone like this on your team is detrimental to your credibility and the ability for you to actually get things done. And honestly, it makes me question some of the claims you've made about the progress of this investigation. So yeah, as mentioned, the only thing we've gotten in the last 7 days is Chris shows up at Onision's house and tries to get an in-person interview with him.
Been a busy week. I traveled across the country to try to talk to Gregory Jackson Onision. Did he talk to me? No, Greg called 911. It's something you must see here on social media and my YouTube channel.
But it's not addressing the issue, and you can address the issue while still taking care of the victims, while still addressing this situation. Leaving it under the rug is not helping anything at all. Remove the claims on people's videos, stop doing what you're doing, and honestly, you probably have to cut ties with Vince. If I'm being completely honest, this has now been his second foray into this. I think he's kind of proven that he can't be trusted. I don't know if he's got dirt on you or something, or if he's just such a good friend that you can't imagine not working with him, but like none of this is okay. Yeah, that is gonna do it for today's video. Let me know what you guys are thinking in the comment section down below. I will try to have all related videos linked down below, from like Westmost stuff to Mr. GG's stuff. I would definitely recommend checking out Westmost if you want like the personal inside story of all the stuff that Vince did to him specifically, because it's pretty horrible. But yeah, that's gonna do it for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a fantastic day, and we'll catch you all later.